Hey everyone, I'm Jason with MMOHuts.com and Bottom Tier, and today we're going to be talking about Star Trek Online, which is coming to PS4, as well as something else super fun. And I would like my guests to introduce themselves if they don't terribly mind.
I'm Steve Ricosa. I'm the executive producer for Star Trek Online.
Oh, Deanna's not going to say anything.
She's just here to yell at me if I say something.
Oh, fair enough. Excellent, excellent. All right, well, let's get started. I'm really excited to see Star Trek Online come to PS4. I've got both of the big consoles, but the PS4 is the one I spend most of my time on. But one of the things I really want to know, were there any major challenges porting it to the console? Like, I'm sure ground combat wasn't a big deal. There's lots of MMOs that do ground combat. But the space combat for Star Trek Online is pretty different. So I was wondering if there were any hardships in that.
No, it was super easy. No, I'm just kidding. It was pretty tough. Yeah, because we're coming to Xbox One and PlayStation 4.
Okay.
And we sat down and we had to figure out how we're going to get a 72-button keyboard into a 16-button controller. And so we gave ourselves 5 or 6 weeks to sit down and come up with a prototype. And we said, if we can't come up with a fun prototype for space combat in 5 or 6 weeks, then we can't do this game.
Okay.
And the one we came up with was rough but fun, and we've continued to iterate on it to the point where we think it plays really well. We had hands-on with over 60 different outlets at E3, and I got a lot of great feedback. A lot of people were really impressed with how it played. It's tough to describe without showing the control scheme, but we did put out a blog. But basically, we use for all your bridge officer powers and console abilities and things like that. You have wheels. You have a variety of radial menus that you can go through and select powers. We have an auto fire mode for those abilities, so that way you can
sort of like Mass Effect.
Sort of like that.
Okay.
And then yeah, sort of like that. So our auto fire system allows you to select how much you're auto firing. So instead of it simply being fire whenever it's ready, it could be something like, if it's a heal, fire off when I'm at 50% health, or fire off when I'm at 75% health, or fire off when I get debuffed so that way it can cleanse. Or you could turn auto fire off and you want to be in charge of when something fires. The last option we have is that you can go through and set a power to the radial menu button. So for example, the B button would on the Xbox controller would open up your tactical powers. You can set a power to just be on the tap, so you don't have to open up the wheel. Just tapping B will activate that power.
All right.
So it gives you as much or as little tactical input as you want in any encounter. So it kind of plays to a variety of skill levels and gives a lot of people a lot of different options.
Awesome. That should make it a lot easier.
Yep. Some other major changes that we did for the console version were lighting. You may have seen the blogs coming out with before and afters. Our core technology team had been hard at work for a while bringing us some tech, because we said, if we're going to be on Xbox One or if we're going to be on PlayStation 4, we have to look like we belong on Xbox One and PlayStation 4.
Absolutely.
So they got us deferred rendering, they got us HDR lighting, they got us light probes, diffuse probes, specular probes, and all that stuff combines to make us really look like we belong on that current generation of hardware.
It does look very sharp.
You can see it in those before and afters. It really, we're a 6.5-year-old game. You got to look modern, and I think that really takes us there. And then the last thing we're doing is I'm kind of a console guy first, and so when I play a console game that's a port, I feel it generally doesn't feel great when you're playing a game and you're trying to navigate a UI with a controller when you expect to need a keyboard and mouse. So we threw the entire UI away and are rebuilding it from scratch, purpose-built for consoles to use with a controller, including some back-end improvements to improve performance. So kind of a soup to nuts upgrade there.
Awesome. Sounds good. And the other thing we're going to talk about today is Agents of Yesterday, the upcoming, it's the third expansion, I believe.
It is the third expansion.
For those on our channel / community that aren't familiar, can you give us a brief rundown of what's going on in Agents of Yesterday?
Absolutely. So you can create a new captain who is from the original series era, and you're going to be engaging in original series style adventures at familiar planets with familiar enemies. Some really cool moments. Yeah, so we're going to have Walter Koenig, who played Chekhov. He's going to be going on a lot of adventures with you. You're going to be talking with him, hanging out with him, learning more about what he did post TOS. You're going to have Chris Doohan, who's the son of Scotty, of James Doohan. He's going to be reprising his father's role. We've also have Chase Masterson reprising the role as Admiral Lita from Deep Space Nine. We've got Matt Winston from Enterprise, who played Agent Daniels. And then we also have Joseph Gatt, and he played the cyborg crewman 0718 in Into Darkness. So we're actually bringing the Kelvin timeline, as it's known, the J.J. Abrams movies into Star Trek Online for the very first time. So it's pretty exciting.
Oh, fantastic.
A massive, original series / time travel adventure with a pile of episodes and new reputation and, new specialization and a pile of new ships. And also, if you recall, we did a Delta recruitment event about a year ago where you could earn a bunch of different rewards for completing a bunch of objectives. There was going to be a temporal agent style event that's very similar for people that create these characters with tons of rewards and just a lot to do.
Well, you answered a couple of my questions there in one go without me even asking about that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
That's okay. I think I'm probably most excited for Walter Koenig, who is one of my favorite sci-fi actors, because he was in the original Star Trek. He was in Babylon 5. So I'm actually really excited for that. Are there going to be any?
Yeah, I was actually able to meet him in person in Germany a few weeks ago.
Oh, that's awesome!
Along with several of the other original series actors. So that was a really cool moment for me.
Are there any new gameplay mechanics coming in with it?
We're using, for example, the Temporal Agent has some new mini games and puzzles in there, and we've got some additional updates for passive powers in the specialization, and then of course all the new episodes.
Are there going to be any big missions or battles that fans of the original show might be familiar with?
Absolutely. Some of them are on Tribble. I don't want to spoil too much, but for example, the Journey to Babel episode.
Oh, excellent!
You're going to be traveling back in time to that actual episode, and you're going to be walking around during that episode, making sure that it goes exactly how it's supposed to go. We've got another one, the Battle of Caleb, that was only mentioned in Deep Space Nine by Core when he was talking about, when they tricked the Federation and they had this great route and it was glorious. You're actually going to be part of that.
That's going to be fun.
The episode, so it's going to be very cool.
Okay, I just have one more question so we can come full circle back to the console. One of the things that happens a lot with games that are ported from PC to console is the updates, like expansions, updates, add-ons, always come weeks, if not months later. Is that going to be a thing that happens with Star Trek Online, or will they drop roughly the same time?
So at launch, we're not dropping with absolutely everything, but it's going to be a significant portion of the game because we had to cut it off somewhere.
Yeah.
And then our goal is to catch up the game as quickly as possible over a few months. And then once we're all caught up, the goal is we would ship on PC first, and then a few weeks later, once we get through certifications and everything through Microsoft and Sony, be able to come straight to the consoles then. So within a reasonable amount of time.
Okay, so they won't be chomping at the bit, waiting forever. Gotcha.
No, we've got a pile of stuff that people are gonna. 6.5 years worth of content, just a lot of stuff for people to go through.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I haven't played a lot of Star Trek Online. I feel terrible because I'm a big Star Trek fan. I go through spurts where I'll play it, and then I just get busy with work. But I'm really, really excited for Agents of Yesterday. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
the nice thing about Star Trek Online is that since we're episode based and you have a lot of queues at Endgame, you can play for 15 or 20 minutes and bust out a queue, or about a half an hour and play an episode and make meaningful progress, right? So you can take part in this great story. You can progress at Endgame in 15 to 30, 35 minutes a day. So it's available to anyone, right?
So you
play
can
for
get
hours
your
and hours,
fix.
or you could just bust that in to get your fix. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to me. And this has been Stephen Ricosa and the very silent but always helpful Deanna Peter. And we will see you guys next time on Bottom Tier.